This weekend, Winnipeg's Bolero Dance Theatre Company is inviting audiences to fall down the rabbit hole and embrace themselves in the fanciful world of Alice in Wonderland. Alice in Wonderland takes place at the Franco-Manitoban Cultural Centre this Saturday at 7:30, and there's a matinee performance on Sunday at 2 o'clock. It is a brand new debut production inspired by Lewis Carroll's iconic book. It promises to be a wonderful fusion of fantasy mixed with the lively and colorful world of Spanish dance, complete with iconic characters such as the Queen of Hearts, the Rabbit, the Cheshire Cat, the Mad Hatter, the Hedgehog, and of course, Alice herself. And joining me here in the Classic 107 studio to talk about Bolero Dance Theatre Company's presentation of Alice in Wonderland, I am joined by Pedro Aurelio, who is artistic director for the company. Hi, Pedro. Nice to have you here.
Hello, Chris. Thank you for having us. Yes, thanks. It's a pleasure being here.
Mm-hmm. Before we get to the show, I want to talk about the company. How long has it been around? And am I right? You're one of the founders of the company. What made you want to start it?
Well, we've been around since 1997, so almost 27 years now in December. And I graduated from the Royal Winnipeg Ballet. So I was classically trained, but I always loved Spanish dancing and flamenco. Back when I was growing up in Puerto Rico, I was doing flamenco and then moved to Washington, D.C. to train in ballet, but I found flamenco on the side as well, and it was something that was close to my heart. So when I graduated from the RWB, that's when I started this company to showcase and feature all aspects of Spanish dance and flamenco.
Fantastic. The idea of starting a dance company, it seems so daunting because it's not only the dance, but you've got costumes and there's music. Where do the costumes for the company come from? And I envision them as being essentially very bright and showy. Am I correct about that?
Definitely. Very bright, very colorful, vibrant. The costumes, it's a mix of everything. We have some costumes that we made, like we just brought from Spain. We have some costumes that we made here. We have our amazing costume supervisor, Megan Latouche, who designed and helped make some of the costumes as well. So it's a little bit of everything.
And what does the company do for music and musicians? Is it recorded music or do you have live musicians?
We do a little bit of both. In the past, we've had live musicians. This one performance, it's such an ambitious and complicated production. We are using recorded music, but some of the recordings were made by a local flamenco guitarist, Philippe Munier, who will also be playing for us later when we do a show in the French.
Yeah, and he's a wonderful guitarist.
He's amazing.
He's fantastic. So when I think of Spanish dance, I think of the guitar player with the dancer who wears shoes that helps pound out rhythm on the floor, what you would call flamenco. But there's actually 4 categories of Spanish dance. Can you briefly describe them for us? And my understanding is that all 4 categories are going to be used in the Alice in Wonderland production, right?
That is correct. There's the language of Spanish dance. You have flamenco, like you said, with the dancer becomes a percussionist with their feet. But then we also have Escuela Bolera, which is more closer to ballet. It's a style from the 18 and 1900s. And although from the waist down it looks like ballet, from the waist up it's very much like Spanish, very Spanish, and they play castanets. I'm putting on my castanets right now because I just wanted to show you some of the rhythms.
Sure.
We just go like... So while you're doing the castanet rhythms, you're jumping or beating your feet or doing stuff that normally we would do as a ballet dancer with the Spanish flair. We, of course, also have folkloric dances or bailes folclóricos, depending on the region from Spain, and we'll have a couple of those. We are collaborating with the Spanish dancers, the Sol de España Spanish dancers that usually perform in Folklorama. So they're dancing with us as well and bringing some of the folkloric dances. And we have classical Spanish dance, which is when you combine elements of flamenco, elements of the Escuela Bolera, and elements of folkloric as you interpret classical music or classical Spanish music.
Yeah, like Rodrigo and Isaac.
Rodrigo and the Falla and Benith, all of those, yes.
Yeah. That sounds great. An entrance into Bolero Dance Theatre, it's by audition. They're dancers who they're already trained, right? They're already trained in Spanish dancing?
Or they are training. As a matter of fact, we have Institute of Dance Manitoba and Sol de España dancers. They offer classes, all levels. And then when they get to a certain level, they may audition or they may be asked to join just by invitation. This one production, of course, we have so many dancers on stage and all ages. We have some of our veterans that have been with the company almost since the beginning of it. And we also have some youngsters that are playing some of the flowers or some of the flamingos or hedgehogs or things like that.
It's going to be great. Okay, I want to turn to the show. Who created it? And I'm picturing sort of a ballet version of the book. Is that correct? Does it follow blow by blow the different
It
adventures,
will
Alice?
follow almost chapter by chapter, character by character. And it is almost like a ballet, except that we're using the language of Spanish dance, flamenco, and the fans, and the train dresses, and the castanets, but telling the story with movement, although there's a little bit of narration here and there. The creator was Genevieve Latouche. And Genevieve lived she was a dancer with us for many years, and then she moved to Spain. She lived in Spain for a few years, and then she was training there, and then she moved to London, England, where she trained a little bit more in the flamenco school in London, and then she came back, and she's now our assistant director and choreographer, and this was the production that she wanted to create for us as a first time.
Great. And what are you using for music? You said a lot of the music is recorded, but can you give me some examples of what kind of music you're going to be using?
So some of the more flamenco pieces, like I mentioned, will be they're recorded by Philippe, but some of the classical pieces will be using works by some of the Spanish composers, and some are traditional songs from Spain when we're looking at some of the folkloric dances.
And one of the things I find so interesting about dance and creating a new production like this is the choreography. How does the choreography come about to tell the story? Did you figure the steps out first and then come up with the music? Or was it the music and then the dance
It's a little
steps?
bit of both. It's a little bit of both. We do have a repertoire of dances that we have been learning over the years. And when we start with a new production, a new story, we go, well, you know what? We want to tell this element of the story, and we want to tell that element of the story. You know what? That dance that we have in our repertoire would fit perfectly in there. Like we have a beautiful modern Spanish dance with a long train dress. That's perfect for the caterpillar.
Okay.
But then there are other pieces that we don't have anything, and we have to create from scratch. This piece of music actually kind of tells me a little bit about, so we use that one, and then we create something new. The Mad Hatter, there's a traditional flamenco dance that is always about the hat, garrotin, so that would make sense to use that.
Okay.
There's a little bit of this and that.
So it's a sort of a patchwork of things just coming together to create the show. One of the things that is so crucial about the story is Alice's size. It seems throughout the book she's either growing or getting smaller. How are these changes depicted on stage, or are they?
They are, or at least we're attempting to do that. That was challenging. Combination with costumes. So at the start, she will be wearing a long flamenco dress. Later, she somehow changes into a short bolero-style dress. Meanwhile, we also have a table that literally grows tall and gets shorter next to her to depict that moment in the story.
Genius. Can you talk about the costumes? What are they like? My understanding is that there's some inventive ways that costumes are used to tell a story. I'm thinking here in particular of the cards, right?
Well, it is a flamenco show, so the base will be flamenco and Spanish dance dresses and costumes. And then on top of that, we add a hint of what the characters would be. So for the cards, they will be having shawls with the suits, aprons that depict the hearts or the diamonds.
Okay.
All the characters will be wearing a dress, a flamenco dress, but maybe they have the rabbit ears, or depending on what character they are. The Queen of Hearts, of course, was more straightforward because she's just wearing an actual Queen of Hearts full dress that she dances with.
Oh, fantastic. Are you in the show? And if so, what role are you playing? Can you talk about your costume?
I'm the Mad Hatter, of course. I'm the Mad Hatter, and I'm just going to be, instead of wearing a flamenco hat, which is the short Zorro, I'm actually going with the actual look of the Mad Hatter. So I'll be wearing a bright red top hat that I am using in my dance just like I would with a flamenco hat. The rest of the costume is just bright colors. You'll have to come and see it.
Yeah, I'm sure it's going to be great. Can you talk about the role your assistant director, Genevieve Latouche, had in helping in the production? I'm thinking here in particular the cast and characters. My understanding is she got together a big group of them, right?
It is a large group. And like I was mentioning, we have young kids all the way to veterans. And we had to go into some of the other groups in the city. So some of the dancers are coming from the Institute of Dance Manitoba. Some of the dancers are coming from Sol de España, Spanish dance group that performs in Folklorama. And then some of our own dancers from Bolero Dance Theatre. And that's how we had the full cast that can put this amazing spectacle on stage.
Yeah, great. The production sounds super exciting. It sounds like it's going to be a wonderful celebration of Spanish dance and rhythms mixed with fabulous costumes to create a feast for the eyes and ears. Pedro, where can people go to get tickets and how much are they?
They are $25 for adults, $15 for children. And they are still available online if you go to www.bolerodancetheatre.ca. But once we get to Saturday and Sunday, they will be available at the door as well at the Franco-Manitoban.
Perfect. Alice in Wonderland is presented by the Bolero Dance Theatre Company. Is going to be just fantastic for our listeners. The shows are at the Franco-Manitoban Cultural Centre this Saturday at 7:30 and on Sunday at 2 o'clock. And it has just been so great. Pedro, thanks so much for taking the time to talk to me today. It's just been a lot of fun.
It has been a pleasure. Thank you so much, Chris.